Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited this week because I'm going to introduce you today to one of my mentors and friends, Brian Denysiuk, who's here to speak with us today about probably one of the most important topics in our lives, something that we think about and we deal with every day of our lives, and that is the topic of money and finances. One of the things I love about Brian is his ability to integrate the practicality of money with wellness, with trying to get in the right headspace around this. So many people deal with anxiety and stress around money, and today we are going to demystify some of this, get some tips on how to make money work for us as opposed to us being slaves to money. And Brian, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Keith. It's very exciting to be here and to share a few stories and talk about money and hopefully help make a difference in the lives of a few people.
Absolutely. I want to hear first about how you got into money. I mean, we're all into money, but how you zoned in and made this your full-time thing.
Well, I think I was destined to be in this business because if I go back to when we first got married, and Stella and I have been married a long time, 37 years, we had to budget. We didn't have a lot of money. Stella was still in nursing school and I was working for a bank at the time, and we had to sit down and plan where all of our money was going. The only way we could do that was to build that spending plan, or as we refer to it, a budget. And so I used to track everything, import it into Quicken, and I could tell you what we spent everywhere. I think I drove poor Stella nuts because I used to be able to pie chart the grocery spending from one year to the other. So as life evolved, I continued my career path into financial services, working in the payroll business for about 20 years. Then I had the opportunity to run a bill payment company for about 8 or 9 years. Then I thought it was time to step out on my own and actually own my own business. And a mentor of mine helped me find Credit Aid, which was an interesting business, but at first I thought, well, does it really fit? And the more I looked at it, the more I realized I could really make a difference in the lives of people when it came to money. And so I bought it. And 10 years later, we are enjoying making a real difference in the lives of a lot of people, and have expanded into really spending time talking about financial wellness and how it truly impacts our health and our ability to move forward through life.
Wow. You know, one of the first things that I noticed when I walked into your office, where we're sitting, is this huge bowl of cut up credit cards. It blew my mind. I was like, what's that all about? And tell me a little bit about why you have a bowl of cut up credit cards in your office.
Well, when we meet with people and we have to try to make some changes in their lives financially, and we have to transition them to a save to spend versus using credit, part of the therapy is as we look at things and if we find the right program for them, we have to stop using those credit cards. So I have some very sharp scissors in my desk, and so do all the counselors, and we hand them over, and as the individuals look at life and say, I'm ready to take the next step here, they cut up their credit cards. And it's incredible to watch them do it. They end up smiling. It's the first step in moving forward. And they take those credit cards and they fill the bowl.
Wow.
And it is getting pretty darn full.
Wow, that's unbelievable. So if you want to give us a little bit more background, too, on Credit Aid for those that are not familiar with your company and how this works.
Sure. We are credit counselors as well as insolvency counselors. And what we do is when people are struggling with debt, oftentimes they don't know where to turn. Who do they go to? The creditors might be calling and demanding payments. They go to their financial institution to try to borrow more money to help resolve the issues, and they're turned away. So now they're left alone. So where do they go? So we're an organization that they can sit down with, and we can recap their financial life, summarize their assets and liabilities, help them prepare a total budget, look and analyze their debt, and then provide them with complete solutions on how they can move forward, how to get out of debt. There is always a solution. It takes a little bit of work, but we can help transition you right out of debt so that you're into a save to spend opportunity to really take advantage of life as things evolve.
You know, hearing you talk, you make money feel so accessible and easy to work with. But I know that there's a lot of people listening that are battling this whole mentality of I'm in debt, I don't have enough, I can't get ahead. I mean, in some ways, this is a real epidemic in our culture where people are spending more than they have. I can't tell you how many subscription models online there are now where you can just give us your credit card, we'll bill you $9 a month. And so many of those add up over time, and people just find themselves totally stretched and strapped. You must see this every day in your work.
We do. We really do see it. I think it's very difficult for us to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to recap my financial life. I'm going to look at my income, and then I'm going to summarize all of my spending within a month, or all of our spending as couples. And it just seems to be a task that we've never really learned. We don't teach about financial literacy in the school system. Where do you go to learn these skills? It's a tough one.
Where do you go?
There is really nowheres, and that's a tough part. Financial institutions, if we look back in the day, they did a little bit of this, but today that really isn't their job. Their job is to help you understand and maybe just buy money. They're going to provide you with a mortgage, with loans, etc. But I always say, when you're going to go into a financial institution to get a mortgage or to borrow, you need to know how much you need. What do I need this money for? How's it going to change my life? How much mortgage can I really afford? And if you don't understand how much money you're going in to buy, you most likely will buy too much money. And that's where the problem starts. We start going through life day to day with our paychecks. And oftentimes we don't get to the end of the month. All of a sudden, our checking account's at just about zero. So what do? We start using our credit cards, or we start using our lines of credit. And the problem is that we get used to having a little bit more income than we really make, and our spending habits continue to change until all of a sudden there's no more line of credit to use. Then what do? We really have to stop. And that's what we do here, is we help people really reflect, summarize where they're at today, and then put a plan in place. You have a home. Can you really afford the home? Do we have to think about maybe selling the home? Or can we find another solution? Can we find a way to work with the creditors to get all of their interest rates reduced to virtually zero, which is what we can do? Or should we be referring you to a trustee to go bankrupt or do a consumer proposal? So like I said, there's always a solution, but you need to be ready for it. And debt stress is huge out there, Keith, as we know. 60 to 70% of Canadians are struggling day to day with debt.
Wow, yeah.
So if we've been struggling for 10 years, what's that doing to our internal organs? We look at everybody that's coming down with all kinds of different diseases and cancers, and where's this coming from? Is it the fact that we're continually stressed?
Yeah.
And if we can start making that difference, if we can start understanding that game of money, living within the framework of what we actually make. How do I get through the month and still have some pennies left?
Right.
How can I be in charge? I should be grabbing my money and telling it where to go. We're the ones in life that are really working our buns off to earn these dollars, and yet we let them just filter through. We let everybody, put pre-authorized debits through, take money for this, this, and this, and we go, well, what's left for me?
Yeah.
What about if we change that concept and we said, this is mine. Now, money, I'm going to tell you to go here, here, and here. And the first place it's going to go is I'm going to start to save to spend. So I'm going to transition my thinking. We're an instant gratification society that wants to have it all now. And we've watched it throughout our, generations, the last few, where, it's advertised on TV. Buy now, pay later.
Yeah.
You don't have to think about it.
Absolutely.
We want to watch the big game Friday. I want to watch the Bomber game, but I want an 80-inch TV now. I can think about it today. I can go buy it, and I don't have to worry about paying it for 2 years. I got 2 years interest-free. Who cares?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden 2 years goes, and we're paying 30% interest back to day one, and now we're in trouble.
So I have a question. In your experience of this, what you're talking about, this save to spend model sounds brilliant, because I've taken your advice on this personally and found that it's just so much less stress when I actually saved up the money to buy whatever it is that I'm wanting to buy or purchase. But to get into the discipline of that can be very challenging for somebody that has is bought into that culture of immediate gratification. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
How does somebody start in terms of discipline, in terms of budgeting and saving to spend?
I think what I do with all of my clients is, the first thing we do is we summarize that budget. And built into the budget, we start to ask questions. Let's talk about life 6 months forward, 12 months forward, 18 months, and 24 months. What will you need money for? I like to use Christmas as an example. If you celebrate Christmas, when should you start thinking about Christmas?
Well, I'm not sure. When should you?
Well,
I usually think about it on December 24th, to be honest.
And too many of us do. I always say we got to start thinking about it January 1st. So we got to look back at 2017 and say, what did Christmas cost us? If we spent $600 on Christmas, then we write it down on our summary sheet, $600. Then what we do is we divide it by 12 and save $50 a month.
Right.
So that when we get to December, we've got the money saved. We don't have to worry about it. So we can relieve a little bit of stress in our life. No different than car repairs. You know, whenever we go to get that oil change, it's never only an oil change as it once our car's off warranty.
Yeah.
It's
constant
brakes,
upgrades.
It's something. It's $300, $400, $500. And if you get hit with a bill and you're not ready for it, it can add a lot of stress.
Absolutely.
So why not save the money every single month so that when you get the bill and you go to get your vehicle fixed, you don't have to think twice about it. Yes, I need brakes. Please do them. I know it's $400. I've got $600 in my car repair account. It's no big deal.
Right. Just speaking about accounts too, I know you gave me this advice, but I'd love for you to reiterate it to the listeners. This idea of allocating money into different accounts when you get a paycheck that comes
Correct. And that's exactly the principle of Save to Spend. Is I always say open a new bank account. And I will use Tangerine Bank of Canada because it just makes it very easy as an example. But you can do it with other financial institutions as well. Mm-hmm. So what I say is open that bank account at Tangerine. What I like about Tangerine is free banking.
Yeah.
I love free.
Me
what
too.
Can I say?
I love free too.
And so you can open the account there and you can set up 6 different bank accounts, 6 different savings accounts. So what I like is you can nickname them emergency savings, car repair savings, holiday savings, whatever type of savings you need to save for. And every month, you're basically following the David Chilton methodology where you're paying yourself first. They go to a wealthy barber. So you are the first one that's grabbing that paycheck. And so you're putting $50 away for Christmas. You're putting $50 away in your emergency savings account. You're putting $50 away in your car repair account so that you're building and you're constantly building that savings so that we can take away that stress in life. And we're looking forward 6 months, 12 months. What events are happening in my life that I need to save money for? Do I need to save for a new house? Do I need to save for a down payment?
Right.
And it will make it much, much easier.
I almost treat it as if I'm like paying myself as a bill. Like I'm like, okay, I got to pay myself the fund savings. I got to pay myself the saving for that new house. And it's almost like I allocate the checks that come in as if they're bill payments.
Yes.
But they're actually circulating back to me for things I'm saving for.
And it's pretty exciting when you're saving to spend as well. Your money is earning interest as well.
Absolutely.
So there's two ways in life we earn money. We work our buns off just like we do today, but we can have our money making a little bit of money. And so we've got that extra little bit of income coming in every month as well, which makes it really, really nice. We need to save for that future. We need to start thinking about what does retirement look like?
Absolutely.
I mean, when we look at a 30-year-old, okay, they've got 35 years till they hit 65, but what will they need to retire? Do they have a pension plan, or are they going to have to self-fund? Do they have to save $1 million? When you think of $1 million over the course of 35 years and you break it down, it's not too bad. But if you all of a sudden say, wow, I got to save $1 million if I ever want to retire, how am I going to do that? So we really need to break everything around money down to simple basics and keep it that way.
Right.
And we've got to watch that instant gratification. We got to start to practice some delayed gratification. Mm-hmm. If you really saved the money, if you saved the money to buy that new TV we talked about earlier, I'll bet you instead of paying $1,200, you, as a typical Manitoban, are going to go out there and you're going to say, I'm going to find that same TV on sale for $800. And you got $400 extra. You can say, what am I going to do with this money?
I just have to clarify, too, for those listening that are listening internationally, Manitoba, our province or state, if you're from the States, we love our good deals. So that's what Brian's referencing when he says that. I just wanted to name that for anybody out of our province that's listening to that.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, we do love, but I love something that I really appreciate about how you work in the field of money too, Brian, is that I know that there's more to it than just writing down the numbers. There's something to do with our belief systems as well around money.
Absolutely. And I think it also ties to communication. Because when we think of couples and money, we need to have open communication. We need to have that dialogue so that we're not running two different directions.
Does that happen where you get couples in here that have no idea what's going on with each other's finances?
Absolutely.
Really?
I like to tell different stories of cases, and I never share names just to provide, protect the confidentiality. But I had a young woman who had a heart attack at 50 years old. Huh. She was a nurse. She came into my office, and, we started to recap her life financially. And so we're trying to put together that, that spending plan, that budget, who's paying for what in the family. She was married, but she came in alone. And we started to look at it, and she said, well, my husband pays for this, I pay for that. And it was a lot of back and forth where I couldn't get all the numbers. So we left the budget. We started to summarize what she had on credit card debt and lines of credit. Well, she had about $50,000.
Wow.
So that I thought was fairly high.
Yeah.
But I said, for me to really help you, do you think your husband would come in so that we can build the rest of the plan? And she convinced him to come in, so he did, and he sat down. He walked into my office. He was a fairly big guy, and he shook my hand. My hand kind of disappeared in his, and he says, Brian, I'm not sure what I'm doing here. I'm retiring in 2 years. And I thought, oh my goodness, we're going to have a little chat. So we sat down, and we started to fill in the other blank pieces in the budget, and then we summarized his debt, and he had about $60,000. And so when we shared her $50,000 of unsecured debt, they started to look at each other, and I could tell that this was a brand new conversation, that neither of them realized the amount of debt that they had as a couple.
Wow.
They had $110,000 worth of unsecured debt. Wow. They had 2 daughters in their early 20s. And I said, well, I know why this is happening. You guys are spending $2,000 a month more than you make every month. So we have a little bit of work to do. And I also thought, wow, I got to chat with these 2 young ladies, because if they think this type of spending is normal, where are they headed? I mean, this family went out for dinner 7 days a week. There was no cooking.
You got to cut up the credit card.
We cut up a lot of credit cards that day.
Wow.
And, it was a true success story. They realized they needed to really buckle down and make some changes. And they did. And they cleared the entire $110,000 worth of debt in 5 years.
Wow.
And, after they were finished, they came in and he said, look, I saved money for a motorcycle.
Wow.
So,
the save to spend model.
Yes. And it worked.
That's incredible.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is really powerful. I want to also break down